All right, guys. The random stream today is a holiday today, Memorial Day. So decided to make a stream today, which is just random out of nowhere. I gotta remember next time for holidays, if I'm staying in, make sure to keep that in mind next time. But all right. Let me make sure I have everything here. Give me a second. I think I got everything out of the way. Cool. All right. So in this live stream, we're gonna continue working on doing more optimizations in here. I did touch a little bit trying to figure out why I'm still having like little tiny like hiccups. I can show you guys right now. Anyways, you know how I just started the stream, but yeah, I hope you guys are doing great and wonderful so far. And if you're watching this later down the line when it gets uploaded, welcome to the video, guys. Welcome. Hope you guys are doing great so far. So we did for some performance optimizations. We added a shadow, which is great. It actually looks a lot, it looks great. Excuse me. And we make sure that the trees within the village also has this transparent shader activated when the player gets behind it. Right? But we also did some performance optimization with the grid, the AStarGrid2D. But I still have this little tiny bit of hitches going on. I don't know if you guys can see that in the video. Or there's just little tiny hitch that's happening when I'm transitioning to that new chunk. Right? And I ended up figuring out what the issue is. And that has to do with collisions that I'm enabling for the trees, right? So let's see if I can render some trees in here. My terrible drawing skills, right? So we have this tree here, and then right? So we have this tree here, and then it has this hitbox behind it, and it's a trigger. So when the player goes in there, it will trigger the hitbox to change the tile to an alternative tile to do the shader on. So every tree has this, hitbox, and when I enable it, it hitches a little bit, as you were able to see. So if I were to disable that, why did this transition should be here? So let's revert back to my C++ code. If I were to just, turn that off for that, and turn it off for my village and farm scenes, and build it. Okay, we come back. Run into the game. And I come in here. Now there isn't any hitches anymore. If anything, maybe yeah, I don't see it this time. And if it is, it's probably very, very minimal. You can probably see a little bit actually, but it's not as crazy or like a hiccup that you see before. And that has to do because I'm spawning a whole bunch of, I do have a pool of these. And I got enough when I'm doing object pooling for these colliders. But the problem is when I enable that collision, because initially is disabled and then I re-enable it afterwards. And that transition when I'm enabling and disabling it is the problem. Especially if doing it for, I actually tested it out. I added a log on it. It's about 300 these things that I'm spawning for the tree, because it's a lot of trees, right? And there's different things that I can do. Either I reduce the amount of trees drastically, or I'll only do it, I'll only enable it for trees that are nearby the player. I kind of am already doing that, actually. So if we go, let me go back to scatter draw. Let's go back here. Let's just delete all that. So we got the square, right? Copy, paste that. I don't know why the center is red though. Let's draw this grid that I'm half once more. So right now what I'm doing is for the trees, I'm only rendering it for the middle tile, the center chunk of the world, because I don't need to do it for the rest of them because the player is never there, right? The player will always be in this chunk. Or the problem is it's a pretty big chunk, and there's a whole bunch of trees going on everywhere in here, right? So I'm already doing that, but it's still not the best at the moment. So if I go back to here, you can see I'm only rendering for the fourth tile, which is the middle chunk. Well, let's enable this back, and let's only render it for, or only do this for, let's say for 20 of them. And I'm gonna do a minimum because I have no idea if I'm gonna have any in there at the beginning. So either it's gonna be 20 or less, depending on the size of that array. So I got some options that I would like to do. A few different options that I can do right now. And I'm gonna be testing it and see how it goes. It may not be the solution to it, so we'll figure it out if it ends up being the solution or not. And my solution is to further divide the grid into smaller chunks, I should say. I just want to see how this one looks in here. So coming here, it still has that little tiny chunk though, regardless if it's 20 though. That's crazy that the collision would do that. So I'm wondering if I even want to go in this direction, if for 20 of them it's still doing that crazy amount of transitions. Let's go to Godot. Oh man, I'm in Godot already. If I go back here, this is where I enable it. Let's disable that. That's already true. So let's comment that off. Let's go back in here. So even for 20, if it's doing it. I just want to know if I want to go in this direction. Yeah, see, there's no, if anything, is very minimal like it was before when it had none. that I wasn't drawing. Yeah, it's very minimal and it's not crazy. That kind of sucks by enabling collisions. We'll do that. But my thought process was to just go back to Scala draw. Let's just remove all of this stuff. No, I don't want to delete the other one. No. I just wanted to delete the drawing in the center. Oh, that's why. There we go. It's okay. I'll just leave it like that. So what I wanted to do was to basically draw it instead. Was to further divide this into 3 by 3 tiles more, and only spawn those colliders if I am in any of those sub chunks, right? So if the player is in here, I only spawn it here, and once it transitions to the other tile next to it, it will disable the ones here and enable the ones here, and so on. I'm just thinking if I want to go in this direction, if it's still lagging for 20 of them. You know? Let's go to that go to the Edenville map and find a function where I'm rendering these guys. So it's down here when I spawn it from my pool manager. I'm wondering if would there be any issues if we're give me a second, where's the I was thinking what happens if I don't disable it, enable it, and have it enabled at all times. There was a reason why I did this, and I think it's because the colliders, even if the node is not visible anymore, it still triggers collisions, which is kind of weird. I believe that was the thing that I was dealing with, so that's why I disabled it this way. Hold on, let me see that I got everybody else in here. Cool. Let's try that out. Let's actually go to the tile 1, 2 and enable that collision there. Alright, and yeah, let's not disable it anymore. Let's test that out. I think it's still going to be the same problem, but we'll see. Actually, you know what? No, actually, hey, hold on. Does this? Oh, it's got only rendering 20 of them, so that's why it's not going to show right now. I gotta figure out which 20 ended up being the one that adding that collision behind the tree. Yeah, I don't see it as much. What happens if I enable all of them then? Let's go back in here, undo all this. Okay, there we go. So it's enabled for the main grid and it's enabled for my scenes, for my farm and village scenes. So let's try that out. The only problem it's got to deal with is why was I doing that before, disabling and re-enabling them? And hold on. Another thing I can do in here, just to play it safe, is make sure that this is visible. If it's not visible, then return. If it's somehow still colliding. Right, so I don't want to go through all of this stuff if it's not visible anymore. So we just leave it like that for now. Alright. Bryson, welcome buddy. Welcome to the stream. It's a random stream today. It's a holiday today. I was not thinking of it until this morning. Alright, let's see. It's only like, it looks like it's only the first time though, but I'm actually rendering all of them, so we can still do that thing that I was talking about to further divide. Right? Let's test it out one last time. And depending on that will determine if I should continue doing that or not. Oops. Let's only do 20 of them again instead of 300, and I think it's almost 400 of them, and I want to minimize that if this works. And it's going great, Ryson. Everything's going great. How about yourself? Alright, let's test this, and this will determine if I go in that direction or not. Alright, okay, so I don't see that hitch anymore. And if anything, it is very minimal. And I'm actually... Oh yeah, so I guess we can go in that direction. To further divide my grid into smaller chunks and only spawn the transparent colliders for the trees if I am in that subgrid or sub-chunk. Okay, so let's go in that direction. Let's see how that goes. How you fix the hitch? Let's see. I did two things. I fixed the area, the AStarGrid2D now. So instead of me iterating through the entire grid every single time I go to a new chunk, I disabled all of that. I don't need to do that. And all I do is just keep track of the points that are not walkable and then reinitialize the grid with that. That helped out with the hitch that I was having a lot. And right now, having still a really smaller hitch right now, And that has to do with, let me open up my scatter draw right quick. So right now, every tree that I'm rendering right now that I have, they have a trigger box behind it, and this trigger box is the one that determines if the tree should be invisible when the player goes behind it. So if the player goes within that trigger box, it will update it so it uses the shader to make it transparent when the player gets behind a tree. But enabling this collider makes my game hitch just a tiny bit every time I go to a new chunk. So I was able to reduce the amount. I mean, the plan right now is to reduce the amount, and by doing so is by dividing the grid even further. And that is the goal right now, to only spawn those colliders when the player is within the smaller side of the grids. So the trees, any trees that are within this grid will be in this, and if the player goes into here, it will spawn the colliders for those. I believe that's what I want to do, so that's the plan at least. Seat ordering? No, yeah, seat ordering works. What I do right now, I can show you. Let's go back. I add a shader so I make the tree transparent, so it's not blocking the player. But the seat sorting, it is working. Where am I tripping here? Here we go. I want my C++ class real quick. So let's bring back my stuff back to normal. Lots of spedge. Forgive me if I mispronounced that. Yes, it's a side duck in here. Ryson's a side duck. And you're a Kabutops. Look at that. Alright. Alright, let's go into the game. So all these trees that are in here, they have colliders that I spawn on them. So when the player gets by, shader activates so you can still see the player behind the trees. So all of these trees that I have in here have colliders behind them. And for right now, that's a lot of trees, right? Especially in this center chunk that I have. I'm not doing it for all of them. I'm only doing it for the center chunk because that is where the player resides every single time in the world. So I'm only going to be doing it for the center chunk when I spawn these colliders. But even though I'm only spawning it for this chunk, it's still pretty. There's still a lot of trees that I have in here. So in order to minimize that is to further divide it even further to smaller chunks, where if the player is in that chunk, I only spawn the colliders for those instead of doing it for everybody around it, to at least minimize how many spawns I'm spawning for these colliders. At least that's the plan. So I either do that or I minimize the amount of trees I have here, but I love trees. So, or I find a different direction of how I want to handle this colliders when the player goes behind the tree. And at the moment, the only thing I can think about is that subdividing the grid even further. I reduced it and it seems like it's working too. So at least that is the plan. At least that is the plan. All right, let me see real quick. I love those Pokemon. The blue tops, super cool. Okay, so I want to see. I want to test. So I re-enabled all the colliders, and if I move to a new chunk, which is past this between these two grasses, is when it triggers the new chunk, and should see a little hitch like you saw right now. So that's because I'm rendering all the colliders right now. So the plan is to reduce that. So let's do it. Let's get it. All right. So I have this struck, which I'm kind of starting to plan to make it a class now, just because it's starting to have functions in it. But I think these functions should be okay. All right, so let's go in here. Actually, you know, let's use let's get a vector here, and I'm gonna you know what? Let's make another struct, and this can be like a sub chunk. And what this is gonna have is gonna have the transparent tiles in it. So this is what these transparent tiles is, the colliders that spawn behind the trees. So what I gotta do now, this is gonna be a sub chunks in here. And just make sure I put it in here as well. Chunk has no, oh, because I gotta iterate through all of them. So let's just go to all of them. Sub chunks, size, I, and let's iterate through all of these. They all should have the same amount of sub chunks, regardless if they have trees in it or not. So I should be able to do just I on all of them here. Let me know if I. I feel like there should be a way to do it with just a shader on the player. Yeah, the way that I'm doing it is that these trees, let's go back. Let's go to my main scene. So yeah, there is a way to do it, but the reason why that way doesn't work for this one here is because all my trees are within tile maps. All these trees in tile maps, and if I were to use this tree, so let's spawn some trees in here. The problem with that is they all share the same shader and they share the same resource. So if I were to update that shader for one of the trees, it will do it for all of them, and you can't change the shader to be different for every tree. So that's why I ended up doing a collider, and this collider, what it does is that when the player gets in it, I change this tile to be an alternative tile tree, and I do the shader on that tree. So that's what I'm doing with that, and the reason why I need the collider, so that I can change the alternative tile. But yeah, I can go in that direction that you're talking about. Instead of you using trees within the tile maps, I can probably spawn like another node, and those trees will be the node, right? Oh, but for the player, let's see. What I'm saying, don't change the tree shader at all, but for the player. How would that go, actually? Let's see. If I don't change the tree later, but do it for the player only. Link something in Discord, let me check. Silhouette2D. Ah, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, that works too. So this silhouette, the silhouette will be rendered on top of the tree, right? I guess it depends on the style that I want to handle the game. So let's go in there real quick into the game. And this is where I have to like figure out which direction I want to handle. So if I don't make the trees transparent, but make the that's the bug right there, and make it so that it's the silhouette of the player instead. I guess it depends which one I like better. I completely messed that up, so I gotta figure out this bug later on, and that happens if I hover over this. So I did something with it that made it not work. There we go. Okay, so when I hover over it, this one did still trigger though. They're weird. There should be a way to do it. Yeah, I can't think of it in my top of my head right now if there's a way to do it. If there, what way that should be, I mean. I know it will work without doing any colliders if I were to remove the tree from the tile map and spawn them as nodes instead. And in that case, I don't need to do these colliders anymore. And you know what? That'll probably be the better option. Because I don't have to deal with the shader that I'm talking about. You know what? Let's try that. The reason why I didn't want to do nodes, I don't know if that's going to spawn more draw calls if I were to just leave them in the tile maps. Is there a way to check how many draw calls I have? I haven't even checked any profile or stuff yet. And this probably is a good time to start doing it. I would love to know if there's a way to find out how many draw calls I have. I mean, let me look it up. I don't know if it's the same like in Unity where I'm able to see it, or and show draw calls. The worker panel within the editor. This panel provides real-time performance statistics, including draw calls. Blah, blah, blah. Navigate to debug in the menu bar and select open debugger. The debug. Oops. Okay, where do I see that? Do I have to run it? Do I just run this? Let's find out. And there shouldn't be no 2D lights and rendering canvas. Still doesn't say how much draw calls I have. Let's continue reading that. Let me see. Open the debugger, navigate. The menu bar. I don't see any debug in here. If you open a debugger. Okay. Let's see. Debugger profiler. So this is what I get. Not exactly what I was looking for. Hey Ta, welcome to the stream. Welcome. View perspective, tree dog, view information. Ooh. Let's do that. Hold on. Perspective 3 dots. That's just input stuff. Ooh, that's what I want to know. Where's that? I couldn't find it. It says in the 3D editor view, perspective 3 dots, go to view information and view frame time. I'm not in 3D editor view. Gizmos. That's just snapping stuff. Alright, let me pause this. Go in here. And that's a lot of them. This guy says, as far as I know, I think you need to write your own UI if you want to see runtime draw calls. Interesting. There is a GitHub thing here that gives you all the information that you may want. Let me see. Frame. I don't need all of this stuff. All I want is just to see how many draw calls I have. And why it doesn't come with the editor, I have no idea. Cool though. Features, compact with frame rate, displays frame time, CPU time, GPU. And displays forward information, displays software information, portrait forward, portrait 2D panel. I mean, yeah, it's great. It doesn't show exactly what I was looking for though. They have this performance class. Must be exclusive only to 3D structure. Yeah, that's what I'm reading. It says 3D. Everything says 3D, but there's no for 2D. All I want is how many draw calls I have within my scene. Maybe something that I can add in my dev UI. Just adds a custom monitor. It's a monitor. But all this does is just tells me active object, collision points, islands. Is process, memory, object count, number of objects currently instantiated. Okay, yeah, that can be helpful, I guess. Object resource count, no count. Object orphan. Render total objects in frame, maybe is the one I'm looking for. Yeah, we can try that. In a way to get it. That's only if I want to get a custom one. But you can get the monitor this way. You can print it out. Cool. I'm gonna try that. I'd like to have that anyway. Something cool to have. So let's add that metric in here. Let's clear this. I don't want it. None of this stuff right now. So let's add that to my UI, my dev UI real quick. Since it doesn't come with it, which is weird. Let's add it ourselves then, I guess. Alright, so this is my dev UI. Added some metrics in the bottom. And let's add a couple more. So let's add one more, or no, let's add two more because there was two things I was kind of interested in it. Okay, they're all in that towel pause here. Okay. And let's move you up a little bit. That is what that's gonna be. And then we have this one. Got layouts, transform. And let's move you up just a tiny bit. Then move the other one down. Alright. Where did my tab go? Alright, so we're gonna get, what was the render total objects in frame? Let's keep it short. And then we can name this one. What was the other one? Do I need primitives? It's a cool stat to have anyway. Render. I'll just leave it like that. Alright, and let's go to the script. We'll add these bad boys in here. The primitives, I need this one too. Alright. And what was the function that I need to call in here? Yeah, DIY frame rate. Where is the... Alright, so this is the call that I want to get. Most likely probably don't want to do this every frame, but I just want to show you real quick and see how it looks like. Render objects frame label. This should be text, and most likely it's going to be something similar. And just do that. But I want the other one, which was like render objects in frame. And returns a float. Okay. And I want to do the same thing for the other one. Render primitives label. Text equals that. And this one ended up being this one here. Okay. I'm just gonna let's probably use render objects, render primitives. Yeah, most likely I don't want to do this in an update, but I just want to see if it works. Alright, so let's turn that off. Let's test it out and see if this is what I'm looking for. Yeah, I'm assuming it's gonna be a big number because I have not looked at draw calls for a while. Because all of that stuff happens at the end. You know, usually performance and tweaks and all of that usually happens at the end. So I'm expecting a big number right now. Oh, well, there's nothing came out of it. Great. Oh, there's errors in here. Hold on. What is the errors? Oh, I forgot to do the... I forgot the most important part, and that's this. Adding that in there. Alright. Alright, there we go. We got about about 2K draw calls in here. It's, if that is the correct one, it says objects. So is it true draw calls or not? I don't know. That seems about right. I'm rendering a lot of stuff in here. So my question now, the reason why I wanted to do that is, if I remove the trees from the tile maps, would that reduce the amount of draw calls I have? I mean, technically it should, but I just want to verify myself. Yeah, I'm not too crazy about doing that right now. You know what, just to remove this error. Just so I can remove this error, let's just put this back in here temporarily. I won't deal with this right now. And I just want to disable all of the transparent tiles and then delete. Where is my trees? Where am I in here? No, just disable all of these. Yeah. Alright, let's disable all of this. That's all my environment stuff, which includes rocks and trees. And flowers, I guess. Alright, let's build that. Tyler, welcome to the stream. Yeah, welcome to the stream, buddy. Thank you so much. Hey, look at you're a Togotic. Yeah, I'm doing great, man. How about yourself? I'm here looking for performance stuff, which is not the fun part of game development, but it makes you think. So, but it must be done. It must be done. So I had about almost 2.1K draw calls. Would this reduce it? Except for the trees that I have on the... Hold on, let me remove those trees too. Let me remove this tree. The trees from the villages and farm as well. Where is this function at? Okay, we got spawn region. Does all of that stuff. Iterates through all of this. And if it's an environment, I'm just gonna continue. I don't wanna do anything if it's an environment right now. And let's build this bad boy. Now, what kind of game is Edenville? That's a good question. Edenville is going to be like a cozy type of game, adventure-ish, where you can defeat enemies. You can be farming, fishing, going into dungeons. And it's going to have its own story, which I already have the story. I just don't want to spoil it for anybody. But yeah, you're going to be, it's a game where you're going to be farming. You're going to farm your own vegetables and fruits. Be able to sell it in the village, buy more seeds and all of that. You'll be able to fish and go into dungeons. And yeah, you're just basically gonna have your own farming here. And it's a procedural world, so every time you load into a new world, it's gonna be different every single time. So each dungeon is gonna be different. Every single different save file. Quacky. Welcome to the stream. I can't hear because of Ta. He said you're the best game. I appreciate that. Well, welcome to the stream, Quacky. Oh, look at you. You're an Ampharos. Ampharos? That is my favorite Pokemon. Well, one of my favorite Pokemon. Ampharos. Alright, let's go into the game. I appreciate that, Tyler. We mostly doing a beta first. For people to test it and see how that goes. And then I'll be uploading it to Steam. And hopefully for mobile as well. At least that's the plan. Ooh. Real Skilla, thank you so much for the subscribe. For the sub. I gotta update those noties in here and make it look better. So is Edenville set to release later? I believe not. I think my goal for this year is to be able to release a demo. So maybe not the actual game, but a demo that I would like to release and people to test out to see, give me any feedback on it. At least that's the plan for this year. Hopefully, if nothing gets in the way. Alright, so it looks like I still have the same amount of draw calls in here. Even without the trees. So I'm assuming that tile maps did not increase the amount of objects that are in here. The question is why? I mean, I don't have basically anything here, so why is there so many draw calls in here? Like, where is the 10k draw calls coming out of here? That's very interesting. I'd love to know where is it coming from. Like, if I was zooming out all the way, so I'm basically seeing everything. There's about 11k draw calls in here. Yeah, you can say that, Quacky. Yeah. It was mostly like inspiration between Stardew and Minecraft and Animal Crossing kind of thing a little bit. And it just has its own story and it's just procedurally generated every time. Wonder if it's the fish. I mean, I'm not rendering that many fishes though. Yeah, you can see the fishes down here swimming and around there. I highly doubt that it's gonna be the fish though. I'm assuming there's probably some batching happening in here. I was just trying to understand that draw calls there. Cause I'm not shouldn't be rendering. Wait. What if I disable fish? Where do I trigger game manager? Here we go. So let's not trigger any fish here. And let's not do any environments underwater. Let's build this bad boy. So how about config to adjust the amount of objects to render like Minecraft? Yeah, I'll probably do that for sure. That would definitely help out for some people that may not be able to do everything, right? Yeah. So and definitely it will give an option to adjust in the future. And all of that stuff will be in the options menu at least. I'll give you guys the option to see how much you guys want to render and all of that. Alright, let's see how many draw calls I have this time without any other fish or nothing. And it's just tile maps only, which is just the ground. I wonder if particles that actually fit into that as well. Into this draw call here. Yeah, I still have a lot of draw calls. I'm wondering if it has to do with any does it care about if it's active in the scene? Because if I were to turn off my, like, it doesn't well, actually, you know what? It decreased by 3. It's not that bad. But it does count towards visible only objects. All right. White sort component. I guess some things are being batched as well, I guess. Would it be possible to change music? It would be crazy to play it with ACD music. Eh? You know, that's a good idea. I'll think about it. I'll see how difficult it is to implement that. Because I never looked into figuring out how to play your own music within the game. Like, now I was thinking like GTA, right? I forgot which one. I don't know if it's all GTAs, but I remember back in the day there was a GTA where you're able to use your own music while you're in the car and the radio. Okay. Well, let's try doing whatever we're doing then. Let's try to go in that route instead of doing the chunks that I was thinking about. And instead, when it comes to trees, we'll spawn the tree as a node instead. So let's create the scene then. Let's try it out. Let's see how that looks. And that way it avoids me from doing the collider. Let's see how many draw calls that's going to be though. So we'll see right now. Going here. Sorry that took a bit. I really wanted to understand all of that draw calls and stuff, but I kind of got sidetracked a little bit. And let's do a sprite. And here I'm gonna have to separate that tree on its own, don't I? So let me find that tree real quick. Oh, that's a village. I don't need the village. I like how Edenville looks. Thank you, Tyler. It will most likely look different towards the end. Right now I just have temporary assets that I'm using to make everything work, but it does look cool though. I do agree. I have some plans to maybe hopefully it will look a lot better by adding some shaders and all of that. So we'll see how that works. you have any idea to microtransactions inside the game, like skin points, etc.? I don't know if I'm gonna do any buy stuff within the game, like you guys able to purchase stuff. I don't know if I want to do that. If there are additional skins or anything like that, will probably just be for you guys to unlock it instead. Because I know there's a lot of like people don't like a lot of stuff when it comes to microtransactions in games, and I don't know if I want to have microtransactions in games, because people have a lot of hate when it comes to that. Oh, you're tall. You have two. All right, tall. It's no problemo. Let's see. All right, so here's the trees. Yes. So I'm gonna have to determine what tree I want to use, right? But for now, let's just make it work. Let's just get this tree here. And I have to separate to his own sprite. It is, let's see, 1, 2, 3 by 4. Let's create a new. And it's 16 times 3. And I think it's 64, by the way, but I'm too lazy to actually add that right now. Yeah, I was too lazy, even though I got it right. Alright, so we got this tree now. I'm gonna avoid doing the shadows right now. Let's export this bad boy. So what happens when it die? We lose all progress, or we can continue? You can continue. You won't lose anything at all. You probably just lose the day, right? So let's say you fall on Monday, like you know, you probably you'll wake up back in bed on Tuesday, kind of thing. So you most likely just lose a day. I haven't implemented that yet, but that is the plan. Put a tree. Let's call it just a big tree, I guess. And make sure I want to put it in the right directory. It's not going to be in characters. Let's see, where do I want to put it at? Not in tile sets. Environment, I guess that works. Put the tree there. Export. Alright. So now we have a tree that we can load in here. We go to my assets, arts. What was the environment? We got this tree here. The question is, what do I want this to be at? Oops. Let me mute my phone. I'm assuming I want it here, or do I want it here? I guess we'll test it out and see how that looks. I do want this to be the ordering. It's gonna be Y sorted. And I think I have to do it to this one too. I don't remember. Well, I'll just do it there. I don't remember if I have to do it on both. Alright, so let's test it out with this. So let's call this a tree. Call it big. And let's save that into my scenes in here. And I don't think I have environments in here. I probably should create a folder here, I guess. How do I create a folder? Oh, here we go. Environments. Environment. Cool. And we'll save it. I don't know why I say dummy. Hey, there. All right. All right, so let's go back to my pool manager. We'll have the pool manager handle this tree. Should display pay to continue 1 million. That's actually, you know, it gives you a little tip. Life is like it is like wife you fell till you lose. And give you some like inspirational quotes. Let's put this tree here. This doesn't really do much other than just make it look better for me. I probably should say like, is this an oak tree or something? And I want to spawn. Whew, this could be a lot of trees though. 500. 500 trees. Alright. Then we come in my C++ class. We'll avoid. I can revert this back. I just wanted to see the draw calls and all of that. Alright, so let's do trees first, and we'll work on doing the rest after. I may have to do some tweaks here because in here I determine if there is an environment that has safe data in it. I don't have to do any of this stuff at all. If it has safe data and it falls within this, I guess this is what I need. And this if statement for my trees. And that's the first parameter into that. Actually, no, let's revert it back real quick. Let's just do that real quick. This is the first parameter, which ends up being val, and the height should be this one here. All right. There we go. So I only should spawn trees if it falls within this stuff in here. I set that to be non-walkable. We're not doing transparent tiles anymore. I can turn those off too, by the way, if it's not already off. Okay, great. We'll keep track of non-walkable stuff. And we'll spawn. I think I will just call a function into GD script to just spawn it. But I do want to keep track of these trees though. It'll be funny when something bad happens, bad quotes show up to us to take us down, and good things good quotes. Yeah, depends on how people take it. I think there's a game that does that too, right? There's a game that kind of already does that. Kind of like gives you a bad kind of quote if you do bad in the game. I can't recall if there is an actual game that does that. I feel like I kind of remember one, but I don't know which one it is. And so I'm debating if I want to do it here because I gotta keep track of these trees within this grid. So instead of keeping track, how do I want to handle this? Because if I go to a new chunk, I gotta remove the trees that are out of that chunk that got removed. So I gotta keep track of it in here, I believe, and despawn it afterwards. Yeah. So I'm still keeping track. I'll just leave it there. I most likely don't need this sub chunk anymore since that was the plan that I was planning to do before. I can remove this. And let's add typed array and just have some Node2D in here, which contains all the trees. So all the chunks will keep track of those trees. I'm not doing this anymore either. I remove that. So I'll keep track of the trees, and then we make sure that we clear trees and append array of the new chunk that I'm gonna be copying. Actually, it shouldn't be M because we're in a struct. We'll keep that trees there. Hotman 3D had that? I don't think I ever heard of that game though. Let me see, Potman 3D. Or what was it? Potman. Yeah, Potman 3D. Let me see. Potman 3D. Ah, it's this thing. Okay. I think that's where I heard it from. Yeah, I think so. I used to watch people, streamers, play this game like a lot back in the day. So it might have been from here for sure. Yeah, a lot of people were streaming it. They were getting all heated up because, you know, it was kind of challenging. Alright, so I'll keep track of those trees. And in here, I think what I'm gonna do is because I either create a pack scene through here, or I do it in C++. I mean, in GD script. I can let's just do it through here. But I still need to spawn it somehow, which I need GD script for because my pool manager lives in GD script. So I still need to call it regardless. You know what? I'm just doing it in GD script because I need to call it regardless. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna get the chunk, this chunk ID, and we can append trees. Dot append, and we can call function to spawn the tree for me. I think here we'll make it work first, but I also gotta think about all the different types of trees that I'm having here. Yeah, and the variations that I had before. So I need to find a way to do that as well. So I'll spawn the tree. I'll get this call in GD script. And we're just gonna call function to spawn it. Ooh, I need to pass in a position too, so It needs to be in world position, or I can do it. Yeah, let's do it in world position here. It needs to be in world position, not in tile coordinates. And in here, I want to get the tree. Tree node, which I believe returns in node 2D, and I'm just gonna call my global spawner, pool manager, I mean, to spawn this tree, which ends up being the location of this. Let's copy the path. All right. So we got this tree now. The mouse destroyer. Yeah, I bet. I bet. Okay, so it only returns as a node to as a node. It's kind of like I don't know if you ever played the original Mario Party. There was a mini game where you were using Nintendo 64 and you used there was a mini game where you used the middle thumbstick and you kept doing it this in order to, you know, make it faster. And sometimes you would get doors on your palms. I remember those days. It kind of like destroyed your hand. I don't know why it reminded me of that. The global position equals world position, and let's make it visible. So it's gonna be disabled, right? And then we return that tree node, and it's not a void, by the way. I just realized that. Let's return a node to D. Cool. Now we have something that is spawning the tree, and there. The next thing I gotta keep track of, so we have these in here, is that I gotta disable or despawn all of these. Okay. So here's when I triggering when I change to a different chunk. Before I clear out the trees, I gotta despawn all of the ones that are all the trees that are in there. So I believe what I can do, I'm just gonna call it despawn objects. Despawn objects or nodes, which is you're just gonna pass in the array, and we can pass in the chunk of 0 trees, and we're doing this 3 times for this direction, and then we gotta do it for the other direction. So this is if I'm triggering a new chunk, if I'm going on the left side, if I'm triggering, oh, you know what, I forgot one thing. Last thing I need to do is to clear out this array after please clear. For 036. Alright, so I need to copy that. So this does it for if I'm triggering a new chunk, if I'm going left. If I'm triggering a new chunk on the right side, I gotta do the same thing for 258. 2, 5, 8. If I trigger a chunk on the Y side on the top, I'm gonna do that too. And it does it for 0, 1, 2. 0, 1, 2. 0, 1, 2. And then the last section, if I'm triggering a new chunk, if I'm going down below. And that is 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8. Alright, I think that should do it. Oh yeah, and I forgot one thing is that it's passing the position on that function when I spawn in the tree. So I need to pass in a world position here. Godot vector 2. And then let's get a world position out of here. And I can just use the tile map, right? Tile map layers. Let's use the tile layer of this ground, and it's going to be map to local, I believe, or is it local to, no, it has to be mapped to local. Yeah, it's a vector 2, and you're passing in that, which is just the tile position, and we pass that in here. Alright, so let's find out how this looks then. Alright, so that's build. Oh, you know what? I forgot to also call the function here. What was it? Despawn objects? I mean, I'm going to C++ side for now. Despawn nodes. And this passes in an array of nodes. Okay. Right. And then we want to iterate through all of these nodes. For node and nodes, we want to queue, no, not queue free, global spool manager, despawn. You want to pass in the node, file path, and the node itself. I can actually say node, and I don't need to do this, because I can do that within the despawn function. But this is what it is. Okay. So I believe I should be done. Let's see any lag or anything like that happening right now. Okay, I can see some trees. The village doesn't have any trees yet because I have not added those yet. And we still have the same amount of draw calls that we had before. Ooh, cool. Yeah, I need to render some of the trees that needed to be all the different other trees that I had, right? Okay. I gotta add the shader to those as well. You know, let's add the shader to them. Excuse me. Let's add the shader. Oh, I can't load it. Hold on. I need to create the shader material in here, and then I load the shader. Assets, details, and it's gonna be a tree shader. All right. And this should be the same values that I had in my tile map. So let's go into the tile map real quick and find those values real quick. Yeah, it doesn't matter which one you take actually. Let's do select, rendering, shader. Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to go to the code. I meant to go to the parameters I had in here, which is actually all zeros except for the hit string. Okay. So it's just 4. Win factor 1 and then 4 on the hit string. Got it. Alright, let's go back to that tree then. Excuse me. Oh, there's one there as usual. Hit string was 4. Cool. Now let's do another one. Do a new scene. I gotta get the smaller tree because then it just looks weird. Oh, hold on, let's see how I want to handle it though before I even do that. Let's go back to my C++, and the way that I was handling it before was in popular environments. I was passing all the tile coordinates for it, and I was using this math to determine what index I should use. Okay. I can just copy this part here since I'm not using this function, and I can use that to determine what atlas coordinate I want to use for, or determine which index I want to use from the data array. Okay, I think I got it. We'll make it work, and then if I need to clean it up after, I will clean it up. Where is that? Where is the data at again? Here. So I would like to do this math here, which my height is this. Basically what this is doing is just a lerp. Yeah, I should probably just use the lerp instead. I can make that a little bit nicer if I wanted to. Yeah. And then this one here. Let's put it in here. Let's make it a vector of I don't want to handle this though. Do I want to use the scene path and determine it that way? Or can I pass in? Alright. Let's pass in the index and I'll do it within the passing this and just make sure you multiply the array afterwards. Can I do that after, or do I have to do it before? I have to do it before, huh? I mean, I can pass these values into my spawn tree call, and all I need is just the height, the val, and an offset, which on an offset I can calculate afterwards. You know, let's do that. Let's do this in the height, the val, and the heights. Noise height, and we'll calculate which tree we're doing or whatever within the script and spawn tree. let's build it actually, so I don't have to come back here again. Alright, back in here, because this is just a function that we're spawning trees in. We'll use this to determine what we're spawning. Alright, so let's change some stuff in here. Maybe a bar floats. We can have, if I remember correctly, it's the noise first and then the height after. Noise, which is just a floats, and height, which ends up being just a vector. And vector 2. So we got the height here, heights, and then noise for the val. And then I gotta get that array here. So what I wanted to do in here, we can have an array of tree path, which is just a string. Can we initialize it this way? Say, hey, I want this, and then no, I don't necessarily need to be new. Is that possible? Is that possible? Or maybe it's not curly brackets outside, but it is. There we go. Okay, so we then do tree paths in there. We got a floor, or a correct floor. I gotta figure out, maybe it's some math, or I don't need to do that. Hold on. Let's make this int var and then get the clamp in here. Okay, so it doesn't know what environments is, so we got 3 paths there. Cool. And instead of passing this in here, we'll make sure that the first one is the big tree, and we get the small tree after. I believe that's how I had it. I'll check the environment stuff that it is in there. Cool. Let me check the order that I had it before. So I was using this environments node. Okay, it doesn't know about it. I think it was like oak tree or something that I was using. Or not. Something oak. I guess it's not in here. Where did I put it at then? If it's not in here. Let's revert back a little bit. Oops. Ay. Okay, it's in here. Okay. Well, I want to do something real quick. All right. And let's just revert everything back. All right. We got Atlas cores of 6 and 26. Find that out, which is 6 and 26 Atlas chords. Okay, so it's not that. Okay, so it ends up being this thing here. Okay. Ends up being this tree trunk. That add anything additional for the smaller one? I think I'm only rendering is either a small trunk or a bigger trunk. Yeah, it's only 3. Okay. Alright. So I need to get that. So let's get some. Let's render these guys, shall we? Create his own sprite for these. And it's a smaller, the 2x2. Alright, let's change the canvas size, and it's just a 32x32. And spawn that bad boy in there. And let's export. What do you call it? Is it a trunk? Tree trunk? I don't know why I'm not getting that correctly. So it's tree trunk, and it's the big one. So let's export that. I'm gonna do the same thing for the smaller one. If I do decide to add that to the list, why not, right? Delete that, and let's add that to the list. Export. I'll name it small. Export, and then we'll do the tree here, which is a little bit bigger than the others. The 2x3. 2x3. 48. Okay, and let's save that. It's just a small tree. Cool. Now I have those trees now, and let's make a scenes for those. We have the sprites, and this ends up being the loaded in assets, art. Assets are environments, and we can get the small tree. Like this. I don't know how I want to save it as. And if I remember correctly, we want to do the ordering. Let's put that same thing here, and we want to add the shader to this shader material. We go in here, get a new shader. We'll just load it in. Can we do a quick load? Yes, we do. And it's 4 on the hit strength, right? Whew! Such a lot bigger in here. Well, we'll tweak that after. It's a lot bigger than in the tile map. Alright, what was I doing? Okay, so we save this. One too small, that's fine. It's no, I can just duplicate this. Let's duplicate it. Let's make it tree trunk small. Okay, and the only difference is that this is a different, it's a small tree trunk, right? Environment. I guess this doesn't need the, forgot to do that in the other one, so I gotta remember to do that. This doesn't need the tree sway on it, so with this one, this should have a 0 wind factor on it. Let's go to the small one. We'll make sure we move it up. Alright. And then we do this one, just duplicate this one. Actually, let's go back to the small. I want to make sure that, I don't know if it did it already. Let's make this let's make it that unique, because I had that issue before. Alright, now let's duplicate this, and it's the last trunk, which is the big one. Now update the sprites to be the bigger one. Assets, arts, tools, environment. Get this bad boy up here, and let's make this unique. Oh, oh, this should be the big one, right? I was like, wait, did I mess up? And I think I got it right. Just double checking. Is that, or I did not. Nope, I thought I had that correct. Hold on. Whoops. I changed the wrong one. So let's go back and let's load it in. Art, environment. And it should be the small one. Right, and then I go to the big one and update that one in here. And let's do this one last time. And so assets, art, environment, and it's a big tree trunk. And like I did before, just make that unique just to be safe. Cool. So I have all of these now. If I go back to the script. So if I remember correctly, we did the tree trunk first. Copy path. And then what was the last one? Tree trunk 1024 ends up being the big one, and it's 825. Right, so if I go back to my level here, 1024 is a big one, and 825 is a small one. Okay. So all I need to do is the tree small, copy, and then just add that to the list there. And let's run it and let's see how that looks. Oh, whoop. Oh, you know, I forgot to add it to the pool manager, didn't I? Go to pool manager, and it's all. I'm adding 3 more to it. No, let's add 1 more to it too. Alright. This is the small tree. We get that. Alright, so then we get a new pull item in here. This one's gonna be a big trunk. Big tree trunk. And I can just get this one in here, drag it. Oops. And you know, I'll just do 100 of these. And then the small tree trunk, you know, forgot to. This always gets named correctly at the top, and it's not a pull item. It's gonna be small tree trunk. All right, there we go. There we go. Run it and let's see what's up. Okay. Alright, so my Y sorting's not working. Whoa. What's going on with my trees in here? One, it's not white sorted correctly, but why is it like... why is it like that? Oh, let's get this Y sorting first working. What is the Y sort for? Oh, you know what? I'm not spawning them in the right Y sort parents. Okay. And so let's spawn it there, shall we? And let's go my C++ class. I think if I go back to one of these, I was getting the environment node. There we go. I should probably get that. I'll clean that up after. So let's do that. Let's call this node to spawn it. And let's call it a Godot node. Pointer. Tree node. What is this? Of course, it's a variant. I think what I will do is possibly pass it in here. If casting it can be a problem here. I mean, it should be a tree node. I wanna reparent it to my environment node. Let's see if that fixes that problem. And then pass that tree node here. Okay, let's build that. Let's run it again. Do, 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 do. All right, let's see if it actually is in the correct parents. It should be in the white sort container. Chunks, tile map, environment node. Yep, I see all the trees there. All right. The question is it correct? Nope, at least not for my player. It works correctly with the trees itself. And I think that has to do with the fact that this has to be 1, I think. Let's try it out with 1. If that doesn't work, let's see a little bit deeper and see what's up. Oh, look at that. Wait, hold on. Save that. Save that. Save that. And do the same thing here. There we go. Cool. So I gotta fix the colliders for this again since it doesn't have it. And let's see. Figure out the shader for that. Let's see. Because I don't need to have that anymore. Where is my... This tree shader is actually in my position now, so it shouldn't be a problemo if I already did it. Oh, it needs a mass radius. Okay, what is the radius for what I do? Let me look at my tile map. I think that's what I'm missing, and it should work. So if I were to select this one, I think. Nope, not that one. Mass radius, there we go. Look at that. It's a mass factor of 1. Mass factor of 1 and a radius. I'm not using mass position anymore. But yeah, so mass radius and mass factor. Okay, got it. Got it. Don't need to... You know what? I think that's what's happening with my trees. Mass factor of 1. I'll figure it out what's happening there. And the tree's small as well. The mass factor of 1 and this here. Now let's try that out. Let's try this out, shall we? All right. There we go. All right. Actually, you know what? There's no more... There's no more hiccups in here no more. Let's go. Or maybe, I don't know. Hold on, is it here? I still have rendering the other trees from the other side though, and that is a problemo. Hold on. Where is the trigger? So I gotta make sure I remove this correctly then. That's one thing. I'm not removing them correctly. But as you can see, it's not a huge hitch anymore. Cool. Alright. The one I gotta fix this. I gotta add a collider to this. Oh, you know what? I'm still gotta add a collider to this, so I still may have the bug in here for the player not be able to collide with this. I really don't want to deal with that, but let's find out. Let's do it to this big one first. And let's make it so that it's not actually doing any crazy sway on it. I gotta figure out that sway. So let's add a collision polygon to this. I don't know, I just feel like I'm gonna have that problem again, but what's it crying about? Collision polygon only serves per collision shape to the collision. I see. So I need to add a collision shape to the, I guess. Is that what you're saying? And then put it here? No, that's not how it works. Did I misread that? Collision polygon to the only source to a collision object 2D. So do I need to use, I don't know why I'm breaking. I probably need food in my brain right now. So it needs to be some type of collision object. So an area 2D, I guess. Aren't area 2Ds are... Aren't area 2Ds triggers? If that's what I'm doing here, this is a trigger. I don't know why I'm blinking out right now. I need food. I need some brain food right now. I can't look at the player. Let's look at the player. I'm trying to find someone that has a collision on it. I mean, this one has it without. Oh, because my player is that's right. My player is a character, so that's why it's fine to just have it there. I don't want to include rigid bodies in my. NPCs are characters too, so that did not help out. No. And dummies are characters too, I believe. Dummies in area 2D collision shape. Yeah, all these transitions are trigger objects. I don't think I have anything in my game that has colliders on it except for the player that has a character that derives from a character body. So I guess it has to be a rigid body, doesn't it? Is there a way I can handle that as a trigger instead? If the player gets nearby a tree, Don't move forward. Or apply some type of force opposite way. It's not a character, it has to be a rigid body. It could be a static. They're not moving, right? Let's add a static body to it. Let's see what's up. And we get a polygon on it. And in here, since it doesn't have anything, it wants me to input some points in here. I guess it doesn't matter. You're back. Oh, you can actually just point in there? Interesting. I want to move this box up a little higher though. That's what I was trying to do. Oops. Just do this for right now. We'll clean it up after. Alright, so let's do this. Actually, I would like to know what this purple or red color is. Very interesting. Cool. Let's do that tree trunk. We'll do the same thing for the other trees. Alright, so we'll do a static body like I did with the other one. Then we can start rendering points here. I believe for the trees I had it a little bit higher. I'll just leave it like this. I need to see if it's working anyway. So I gotta check the tile map and see how I had it there, so I can do the same thing. Yeah, but let's get something first and then we'll fix it up after. Alright, so let's test out the bigger ones. What are the colliders for this? Physics layers, and I believe I'm using just the first one, right? Let's look at it right now. Tile set. What in physics am I using here? It has to be 0. Yep, perfect. The other ones are empty. I think this second one, what was the second one used for? I think it's using when I hit the axe with it. Yeah, that's what it was. I'm not using the others at all. So the first one is just normal collision with the player. The other one, physics layer 1, is when I'm hitting with the axe. So I may need to do 2 different things there. But this one, physics layer, for the first one, I'm just using the level bit layer 0 for collision layer, and the collision mags is 1248. 1248, 1248, 1248, 1248, 1248. There we go. Okay. Cool. And same thing with the other tree trunk that I did earlier. Oh, you know why this is rendering? Actually, I don't know why it's rendered behind it. But for the big tree, it's in front of it. Right? So why is it different? Ordering 0. I don't really care if it's twice ordered or not. It doesn't really matter. Oh, that's weird. Very weird. Very weird. Alright, let's test it out with these two and see how it goes. I'm just a little worried about enabling disable collisions again, which was the initial issue that I was having before. So I may need to still subdivide this even further again. I don't know, we'll see it. We shall see right now. Yep, there we go. Exactly what I was thinking about here. It doesn't even matter right now. So I may have to subdivide these even further for collision shapes. And that was what I was worried about. Unless I do some type of collision when it comes to I do trigger box. No, trigger box still does the same thing. Thinking some thoughts and see what other ways I can go around this right now. Because right now I'm rendering all trees. I need to render the trees, but maybe not all of them have collisions on them. So yeah, I was just testing to see if this ends up working, but I think it might be even worse than the other one. Unless I can think of a way to make that a little bit better, you know? But I need brain food right now, guys. I need brain food. I have not eaten this morning at all. I just woke up and started streaming like I usually do. So I think I'm gonna call it right now. I'm gonna get some brain food and maybe I can think of a better solution with this trees. And depending how later on this day goes, I may end up streaming again. It all depends on what I'm doing later on. Otherwise, I'll be here Saturday. But cool, guys. Thank you guys for joining on the stream. I hope you guys have a great day and wonderful night depending on your time. And a good holiday if you guys are celebrating today, doing food or anything. But yeah, hope you guys have a great day. Talk to you guys later. Signing out.